I used to believe that marriage was a safe harbor, the one thing that wouldn't betray you if you gave it your all. I loved my husband with everything I had, with quick dinners after work, with sleepless nights lying next to each other even when exhausted, with silent sacrifices no one ever mentioned. I was the kind of middle-aged woman who lived by faith. And the person I trusted most was the first one to stab me in the back. It started as a small crack in glass. Not big enough to shatter everything, but deep enough for me to feel it spreading. He started coming home late, saying he had meetings. But I'd worked in corporate long enough to know no meeting goes until midnight. He stopped leaving his phone on the dinner table. Stopped hugging me at night. Stopped asking, "How was your day?" like he used to when we first got married. I lied to myself for 6 months. Then one night, he took longer than usual in the shower. And he left his phone in the living room. The screen lit up. A message from someone saved as, "Ashley, PR department. I didn't know any min on. I miss you so much, can't wait to see you in 3 days face blowing a kiss." I read that text at least 10 times before my brain accepted it as real. There was another woman. A whole other world where I didn't exist. Where he laughed, lived, loved and missed someone else. Not me. When he came out of the bathroom, he saw me holding his phone. He went pale. I didn't cry. I didn't scream. I didn't throw anything like they do in the movies. Just asked, "How long?" He sat down like gravity had given out beneath him. And then he confessed. Not with guilt, but as if he'd finally put down a heavy weight. "Over a year." Exhaled. A year. While I'd been juggling work and life, putting him first, planning for another baby. He'd been with someone else. Asked who she was. He said her name was Ashley, worked in media, young, full of life. I asked, "Does she know you're married?" He went silent. That was answer enough. I didn't beg him to stay. I didn't plead. I didn't break down. I just said, "If she's who you want, then go." And he did. 20 minutes to pack. 3 years of marriage. Reduced to 2 suitcases and an awkward, guilt-ridden glance. It rained the day he left. Poured actually. I sat alone in our 2-bedroom apartment, the fridge still full of meals meant for 2, the dining table missing 1 chair. I thought I'd collapse. But I didn't. What I felt wasn't pain. It was a cold kind of emptiness. The kind that doesn't come with tears. I told no one for 3 weeks. I went to work, smiled, joked like I was fine. But at night, I cried over the empty space in bed. Over how a person could disappear like they were never real. Over how I, a 39-year-old woman, was replaced by a younger girl simply because I was old, ordinary, honest. I asked myself, was I not pretty enough? Was I not attractive? Had I worked too hard and neglected him? But none of those questions mattered. He had made his choice. He picked her. So I had a choice too. To live for myself, no one else. A few weeks later, I grabbed scissors and cut my hair. Myself. New look. A new beginning. I stared in the mirror. Same face but different eyes. I was no longer the obedient wife. I was a betrayed woman. And I swore I'd never let anyone touch my self-worth again. I enrolled in night MBA classes, worked during the day. Found a new job. Far from the old company where he once picked me up after work. I moved out of that apartment and into a cozy 1-bedroom space. No double bed. No 2-chair table. Just me, and the dream of living life on my own terms. The young girl. I didn't think of her. Focused on myself. Every morning I woke up at 6 a.m., made coffee, read books, learned new skills. I didn't need anyone to feel whole. I only needed myself. Then one day, while scrolling through LinkedIn, I saw their wedding photo. He looked older and she was beaming. That picture didn't hurt me anymore. Strangely, I felt sorry for them. Because if he needed a younger woman to mask the fear of aging, then he was lonelier than he let on. As for me, I was moving forward. Every single day. Life has a twisted sense of irony. Sometimes it brings people back into your life when you least expect it, in ways that you never could have imagined. That's exactly what happened to me on that crisp Monday morning, when I saw her walk into the conference room. Heels clacking on the wooden floor, eyes a little hesitant. Ashley. It had been 5 years since my husband walked out of our apartment to chase the love of his life. I had gone through the darkest days of my existence, grieving, healing, rebuilding, until one day I wasn't that broken woman anymore. I had worked my way up, built a name for myself, and was now a senior executive at an international media firm. That morning's meeting was for interviewing candidates for our new PR manager position. I didn't recognize her at first. Maybe it was because the sparkle she used to flaunt on social media was gone. Ashley wore a crisp white blouse and a pencil skirt. Professional, polished, but something about her felt tired, blurry. Then I saw her name on the resume. Ashley Bennett, 29 years old. Previous experience at 3 small PR firms. Currently unemployed. My heart skipped. She looked at me. And I knew she recognized me too. The room suddenly felt heavy. 2 women. One once a wife, one once the other woman. One who had lost everything because of the other. And now fate had placed them in the same space. Except this time I held the power. I kept my face calm, unreadable. I hadn't spent 5 years rebuilding myself just to fall apart over a glance. Can you tell us a bit about yourself? I asked, my tone steady and professional. Ashley hesitated for a second, then began. She talked about her experience, her skills in media strategy, the campaigns she had led. I listened, not to find flaws, but to truly see what she had become. Because after all, behind every woman's mistake is a lesson she probably had to learn the hard way. The interview ended with my usual, "We'll be in touch." But the rest of my day was a storm of thoughts. One side of me whispered, "This is your chance to get even. She took your marriage. Let her feel what rejection tastes like from the woman she once beat." The other side said, "She made a mistake. You're better than this. Strength isn't in vengeance. It's in rising above it." I didn't reject her. But I didn't favor her either. I let HR handle the evaluation objectively. 1 week later, Ashley was hired. On her first day, I called her into my office. No glares, no spite. Just a quiet moment between 2 women. "I know our past isn't simple," I said. "But here we're colleagues. I won't let personal history cloud my judgment. I hope you won't either." She looked down and murmured, "Sorry. For everything." I met her eyes. And what I saw wasn't arrogance or denial. It was shame. Exhaustion. The kind that only comes when life has stripped you of your illusions. I nodded, not saying more. Then returned to my laptop. In the weeks that followed, I watched her work. She wasn't bad. In fact, at times she was sharp. But there was always something about her posture, like she carried an invisible weight whenever she passed me in the hallway. Then one evening, long after most had gone home, Ashley came into my office. Her face looked different. Not polished. Not guarded. Just real. "Do you have a minute?" she asked. "Not as your employee. As a woman who made a mess of her life." He nodded. She stood awkwardly before me and spoke. "You probably already know. After he left you, we lived together for less than 3 years before we split. He wasn't who I thought he was. He got angry easily. He tried to control everything. He talked about you more than he talked to me. Told me how strong you were. How smart. That you didn't need him anymore. One night when he was drunk, he said, 'I was an idiot to leave a woman like her.' That's when I realized. I didn't win anything. I was just a replacement for someone he never really let go of." I didn't know what to say. It wasn't pain I felt. It was something else, maybe a strange kind of peace. She looked down and whispered, "I'm not asking for your forgiveness. I just needed to say it. Loud. I've paid for it. In love, in pride, in losing pieces of myself." I sat back and looked at her. "Sometimes," I said softly, "the only way we women learn is by losing what we thought we couldn't live without. But if you're still standing, you didn't lose everything." Her eyes welled up. But the tears weren't for me. They were for her. That night I went home to my quiet apartment, lay in bed, and thought about everything. Yes, I lost my husband. I lost trust. But I didn't lose me. I grew stronger because of it. And now I could face the woman who once broke me, without flinching, without bitterness. I never imagined the three of us would ever sit in the same room again. But life has a strange way of bringing people back together, especially when you think you've walked far enough to never look back. That day, the company was hosting its annual partner summit. I stood on the stage, introducing our new project. Ashley sat in the front row, scribbling notes diligently. She had proven her worth through every campaign, quietly, without complaint. I respected that, even though a silent distance remained between us. And then, during a break, I walked backstage and found him standing there. Daniel. The man who used to be my husband. His hair was grayer, but that confident smile hadn't changed. Still the same smirk that once made him feel like the center of every room. Ashley works here, he asked after a stiff greeting. She does. She's good, I replied, my eyes fixed on my coffee. He hesitated, then said something I never expected. You've changed. Stronger. More beautiful. I've thought about you. About what I lost. I smiled slightly. Not bitterly. Just the kind of smile you give when you've once loved deeply, been broken completely, and somehow made it out whole. You didn't lose me, Daniel. You chose to leave. I just kept living. He fell silent. That line hit him like a mirror to the face, not showing a loss, but reflecting the consequence of his own decision. I walked back into the hall, glanced toward Ashley as she spoke with a client. Her voice was gentle, eyes cautious. For the first time, I didn't see the girl who had betrayed me. I saw a woman who had also paid for her choices, quietly, over the years. After the summit, Ashley came to my office. She stood at the door, holding her purse, unsure. I knew he was coming today, she said. I didn't expect to see him either. But I'm not in contact with Daniel anymore. He's not part of my life. He nodded. I know. She looked at me, then asked the one question I didn't think she had the courage to ask. Have you ever forgiven me? Pause. Remembered the woman I was 5 years ago, crying alone in my kitchen at midnight, screaming inside, why her? Why someone I once trusted like a sister? I remembered going to work with swollen eyes, pretending to be fine while my heart shattered. And then I looked at who I am today, a woman who built herself back up piece by piece. A woman who no longer needs pain to define her. Yes, I said, my voice soft. I have. Not for you. But because I needed to be free. She started crying. Not sobbing, but quiet tears, falling like the weight of guilt she'd carried for years was finally released. That night, I poured myself a glass of red wine and played an old song I used to listen to when Daniel left. But this time the music didn't hurt. I looked in the mirror. Shorter hair, steady eyes, a smile that no longer had to pretend. And I whispered to myself, you survived, you forgave, and you won.